Yo folks, coming to you today from southeastern Virginia in the midst of, a heat wave, I guess you could say. We're living in the mid-90s these days, high humidity. And welcome, I'm glad folks are here. My name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and hey, Drew, I read about you getting stung and what you did. I've tried that before too, and it really works. So I see we're loading up here. I know we got a lot of hot people out there. So welcome everybody. My name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and welcome to the Gardener's Workshop Farm. And actually I'm sitting inside today. You can see my sign back there, Virginia grown. First off, it's hot outside, and normally I don't work on Saturdays, but I had to work today because Suzanne and I have kind of a surprise road trip, believe it or not. So we're flying to upstate New York tomorrow morning to get a big truck, 26-foot truck, and to load our warehouse in it and to bring it back home. So the next few days are going to be very exciting for Suze and I, and we're going to try to do some Facebook Lives road trip. And anyway, so because I won't be here Monday and Tuesday, I had to do some things today that I don't normally do on Saturday. I don't know how I look, but I just finished mowing our pathways in the garden, which normally I do on Mondays. I had to cut a few flowers for an order that's early this week. Anyway, so Suzanne and I have a road trip, and we'll be coming to you, I hope, doing that. And I also just want to put a buzzword here. Yeah, we're going to stop for lunch. We should stop for lunch with you. I have no idea what the roadmap is. Suzanne's taking care of that, but that's a thought, Drew. I wanted just to put a plug in here that if any of you all don't follow me on Instagram, I invite you to do so. I am really trying hard to get to 10,000 followers, because when you get 10,000, then they allow you to do some other things with Instagram. So if you don't follow me there, please check it out. And here before long, there will be different things on Instagram and Facebook. I'm trying to break my habit. So please check it out. So, and as always, if you aren't signed up for our newsletter, which has got all the latest and greatest of everything, please visit thegardenersworkshop.com, and right at the top, sign up for our news, and that way you'll be in the know about everything. And we have so much exciting stuff happening this summer. Oh, hot Atlanta, I hear you. I'm sure Atlanta is hot. I bet Florida, I see somebody who's from Florida, bet y'all are cooking. And I saw that New Hampshire's even got a little heat wave going on. So I'm glad everybody's here. Be sure to sign up for the news. And I'm talking today about the heat thing because I am seeing so much belly aching going on. And I used to be right there with you, y'all. I used to, oh my gosh, crash and burn. July was horrible. August was suicidal. I mean, the decisions, oh my goodness. So before I start talking about some of my tips and just some general things about gardening and farming in the summer, and hey, Cindy in Texas, I'm sure you're, and there's Florida again, cooking alive, y'all. So the first thing I want to say, I don't know if any of you guys have ever taken like a drug like prednisone. It says right on the label, do not make any life decisions while you're on this drug. Well, I'm here to tell you that when it's hot outside like this is now, for us, I mean, we're like in week 2 or 3 of just steaming weather. Don't make any decisions. I say this because on our super secret Facebook page for Flower Farming School, there's been a couple of people that are feeling so beaten up. They feel so defeated, and they're thinking about quitting. And I gave them the pep talk that says, that's not what you need to do. This is, what you're going through is normal. But what I want to say to you is you should not make any decisions about farming for sure. But even in life, if you're a gardener outside, and you're outside a lot, I'm going to give you some tips on how I deal with it. But I am telling you, do not underestimate the power of heat screwing with your head and making you think you don't want to do certain things or you do want to do certain things. So I put in capital letters on my list here. Do not make decisions in summer like quitting. So, and to give it on the flip side of that, think how optimistic we are in January when we're looking through catalogs, seed catalogs, right? I mean, this suffering of July and August are like memories from days gone by. So I want to tell you that there was nobody, how many times did I totally and completely quit farming in the month of July and August in my brain? Then I'd wake up the next day in the air conditioning thinking, okay, I'll try it again today. Heat messes with you. And if you are a planned gardener, hey Daniel, if you're a planned gardener or if you are going to be a flower farmer or you are a flower farmer, you have to make, hey Sarah from Ireland, what's the weather like in Ireland, Sarah? I think you're on the opposite of us, or that's Australia. Anyway, you have to make a strategy. It's as important as where you're selling your flowers or how you're gonna plan your garden. You have to have a strategy for heat. And so I did, and I didn't put the link on this Facebook, but I will try to remember to do this afterwards. I wrote a blog about this a couple weeks ago, and I'm just linking onto that because I want to tell you some of those, and then I have some additional ones that I want to share with you. But here's the first one that's a real eye-opener, and I still have to whip myself over this, y'all. So the number one thing you can do to prevent yourself from getting overheated is to not plant more stuff than you can take care of, right? I mean, we all plant a little more than we should, but I know people, oh my goodness, that have planted 2 or 3 times what they could ever physically take care of. That leads to all kinds of problems, but the heat factor just makes it so much worse. And the other thing that I want to say, and when I implemented this years ago when we were still in high production, we're cutting 10 to 15,000 stems of flowers a week. You cannot cut them all in the morning. I mean, sometimes you have to make a triage plan. So our triage plan, I don't remember what year this was, but in the month of June, we already had over, 4 or 5 days hitting 100 degrees. This was like 7 or 8 years ago. That is unheard of here in Virginia. I mean, we get the nasty temperatures in July and August, but June, we're just barely hitting those. Never. I think one day was 102 degrees. So that forced me to really take a look at the way we were doing things. And in late June, mid-June to mid-July, at least, it is light outside, y'all, right after 5 o'clock. And people are saying, oh my gosh, how would I ever get up at 5? Well, let me tell you something. Once you get up and have your butt outdoors already fed, you got to eat breakfast, y'all. That is huge for summer stuff. There's a reason that farmers' breakfasts are kind of like a thing, right? You have to eat breakfast. But to be outside, ready to roll before 5:30, my goal is 5 o'clock. It's not quite light, but it's light enough with lights on the carport that I can get buckets full. Because let me tell you something about 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. When you're in these heat wave times like we are right now for many of you, it is like air conditioning outside. You will get more work done in those 4 hours than you will for the whole rest of the day. But here's the other part of that equation. You have got to make it so you quit earlier. That's where most people make their mistake. They think, okay, I'm going to get up early, I'm going to do the job, but they don't quit early. When you start early, you have to quit early. I am a big stickler of I only work like 8 hours a day. That's part of what I help people to figure out in flower farming school is, y'all, we all have 24 hours in the day. You got a family, or you have a life, or both. You have to figure out this gig on how you can be a farmer or a gardener and still have life beyond that. So if you're starting work at 5 o'clock, for us here on the farm, what that means is when we break for lunch at 12, a lot of people would leave. I mean, that was the end of their workday. Or if anybody was staying for a couple more hours, we would do inside work. That's when we would do seed starting, washing buckets. There's a lot of other chores that if you're organized, you can do them in the heat of the day. And once your people, if you can just get them to get up and get to work early, and they realize how cool it is and that they get to go home early, I'm telling you, you just can't imagine how wonderful it is. And I mean, because I had a couple of young folks working for me back then. We never have your heat problems. 77 would be rare. Oh, Sarah. Oh my goodness. Sarah, are you in the UK? I don't know where you are, but what a dream. Although the heat does grow us some great flowers. I mean, I'm sitting here next to some gorgeous coxcomb that we would never have if we didn't have those high temps, right? So getting out there early, making the commitment to let your people go early and you go in early. You have to be a professional, y'all. And if you're a gardener, I mean, you can really make the most of your day by getting out early, getting your chores done, picking your vegetables, cutting your flowers, really just getting the job done and getting back inside. I will tell you that I could get up at 4 o'clock every morning and be done with my work by 10 or 11. I am so much more. Oh, in Ireland. No wonder y'all have so much green grass over there, right, Sarah? All those wonderful temperatures. So getting out early is always the best thing to do. And here's the other thing. Y'all, I eat the ugly frog first. I talked about this in the blog. What is the ugly frog? The worst job, the job you dread, the job you hate to do, the job you're like thinking, oh, I never want to do that job. You want to do that job first thing in the morning when it's cool, when you're fresh, and you can just hit it and hit it hard, right? And I'll tell you one of the things why I had to work today. So I have to mow my pathways, most of my pathways, because they have vegetation growing in them. I have to mow them at least once a week. We've been a little light on rain here recently, and so I haven't had to, it's not been as hard to do. Well, we're now starting to get rain again. And so Monday is my normal mowing day, and since I'm going to be gone till probably Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday next week with this road trip, I knew that if I did not mow those pathways today, which let me tell you, I have my normal stuff I do on Saturday. I'm one of those people, I like to get up and clean my house Saturday morning. It doesn't take, straighten my house, I shouldn't say clean, for a couple of hours. By the time, and if I don't do that right away, I kind of don't do it. So I cleaned my house, and by the time I got outside to mow those pathways, it was 11 o'clock. And it was already climbing into the high 80s where it is, let's see what it is, 89. If I had not done that job, oh my goodness, when I got back on Wednesday, first off, being gone for several days meant there'll be a lot of pile up on my work. If those pathways had not been mowed as they were scheduled to be, it would be so much harder. It would be a job to kill me, right? I find that it's back to that first thing I said, overplanting, which you can take care of. When you start skipping maintenance chores that you have to do to keep your garden in check. Oh, thank you, Anita. Says that she was here for the open farm last weekend, that everything was beautiful. Thank you. That's because I do my best to not skip chores. If I skip a chore once, I can recover. If I skip a chore twice, I have to just bush hog and mow and start over again. And so I just want to say to you that maintenance, having your garden maintenance, whether you're farming or just gardening, you have to make your jobs doable so you do not start skipping them, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I mentioned this in my blog, and I can tell you that I really don't do it. I don't do much work at dusk in the nighttime. First off, I am so exhausted after my 7 or 8 hour pounding the pavement around here. But in addition to that, that's when the mosquitoes come out. We don't have much bug biting business going on here in the morning and early afternoon hours. So you just have to really equip yourself. If you are going to work in the evening, let's say you're a gardener, before you even go outside, you have to know that you guys have to cover yourself. You know, long sleeve shirts, long pants if you need be, or you're going to have to spray, because if you don't, you're going to get out there, and there's nothing worse than doing a job that's hard in semi-heat, because it's not as cool in the evening as it is in the morning. But it's even worse when bugs are circling you. Now, just a couple more quick things that I want to talk about, some real strategies that have come to me. This is one thing you have to know, and this is what drives me to do my chores, y'all. It is so much easier to eliminate small, teeny weeds. I don't miss hoeing. I was out there mowing a new planting that I planted in open soil, not in a filmed bed. And I know that I have to, when I'm done here, I'm going out there to hoe that bed. Because if I don't, the weeds will be bigger than the transplants, and then I'll lose it. I will literally lose it. It is so much easier to take a weed out that's that small instead of that small. It is just so much more. And I'm just reading. I gave Barry a bubble bath right before we started this Facebook Live, and she's licking her feet. I couldn't figure out what that noise was. And so here's one thing I really want, and I know that people underestimate this. I actually call my husband, he works outside too, about mid-morning and mid-afternoon. Y'all, we have to eat and drink. I'm the first one to skip a meal. And you have to eat food, lots of little snacks, and drinking far more. This is the glass that I drink water out of. It's pretty big. And I mean, if I drink 5 or 6 of those while I'm working outside, that's barely enough. And I usually throw in a Gatorade, which I dilute halfway. You do that before you get exhausted. It keeps you up. I usually come and stand in the shade for 10 or 15 minutes, drink a little something, eat a little snack, usually a protein. And I know this is crazy stuff, but I'm telling you, this is how we get the work done here on our farm. And if you're a gardener, you know, taking a 10 or 15 minute break, sit in your shade garden, that's usually where I sit, and just take a moment. So let me get back here to my list of other things that I wanted to talk about. So here's the other thing, especially if you're farming or if you have a big job to do on your farm. First off, I don't plan big jobs for this time of the year. You know, I wouldn't be putting down mulch. I wouldn't be, let's see what else. I wouldn't be trying to recover a lost bed from weeds unless I'm just covering it with a silage tarp or something. I don't tackle those exhausting jobs. That's what, because people say to me all the time, I don't know how you do it in the heat. Well, we don't do a lot of that stuff in the heat, y'all. That's the key. But here's the other thing. If you do have a job that just absolutely has to be done, get outside before 5 a.m., by 5 a.m., before 6 at the very latest, and spread that job. Say, okay, I'm going to do whatever your job is that just has to be done. I'm going to do it an hour every morning. Sometimes you'll be surprised. You'll get motivated and do more than an hour. That's that whole analogy. You know how people say, you know, when you walk your garden and pull 10 weeds, it's like a piece of cake. Well, it's because you don't pull just 10 weeds. You get so inspired, you pull more. It's the same thing, getting out early and knowing you're going to do the worst job first, and knowing that you're going to go out tomorrow morning and do it again instead of saying I'm doing it all today, really, really is a motivator. And I'm talking to the flower farmers for just a minute here. First off, flower sales are always slow in July and August for most, or in the dead of summer. For most people, depends on what your market is. If you live in a destination tourist area, it might not be dead for you. But in general, sales fall off. And the other thing that I thought I wrote it on here. Oh, I posted it on our Flower Farm and School Closed Facebook group. The summer, this time of the year, if you're just breaking into the flower farming scene, this is not the time of the year to find new customers, especially florists. They're barely making enough money to keep their doors open for some of them, right? They're not going to be looking for a new avenue to fall off to spend their money on. And so here's my seed. And I did the same thing, because what does everybody do? We heavily plant summer warm season annuals. They really get going at this time of the year. And then you start going around to florists, or worse yet, at farmers markets, and nobody's buying flowers. And so Donna says, why do flower sales fall off in the summer? It's because everybody's vacationing. Nobody's partying. June is a strong month, and September is a strong month. We actually continue to sell a lot of flowers because we have stand-in orders with florists. That means established customers that they depend on us for their staple flowers. But that's not going to happen for you for several years after you start selling. So my advice to you is you need to really break into the flower farming world strongly as much as you can in spring and in fall. And that would be cool flowers, y'all. And people that are, we sell at our members only market. We're pretty much busy all year. You have to have true, I'm just reading what Lori wrote here, people generally have some growing at their houses and use them instead of buying. Well, I in fact find that 99% of the people I sell flowers to do not grow their own flowers. But they're doing vacationing. Our bouquet subscriptions are strong during the summer. The people that are home that are flower lovers, it's the flower junkies that we're really trying to find. But what my message to you is don't be discouraged if you find that sales fall off in the summer. I plan for that. What am I doing right now? And I don't have the date yet. Well, I do have the date, but it's not up that you can sign up for it. Dave Dowling and I are going to be doing a webinar in July, later this month. And it's about what you really should be doing in the fall now to have a fall that you'll never forget. And I'll have that up and I'll talk about it at our next Facebook Live. But a lot of it, this time of the year, what am I doing? I am reading in summer. I'm cutting flowers, but I don't have such volume that I'm out there for hours and hours like I am in the spring and in the fall. So one of the things that I'm really digging into right now, I am planting my cool flower garden, which means the fall planted stuff, as well as I'm planning where everything's going to be, even for the early spring stuff, because that spot has to be prepared in the fall. So even you folks that can't fall plant, and you have to be pretty far north for that to be true, you still need to prepare your spot this fall. So I'm already looking at my garden and thinking, okay, where am I going to be putting cool flowers? And here's another news flash, y'all. You know what I found out yesterday? That it looks like we're going to be on Historic Garden Week tour in April. Historic Garden Week is a Garden Club of Virginia event. It's the largest open house in the United States. There's 47 garden clubs that are a member of that organization, and they have homes that are on tours, and the money that they collect on these tours is the money used to restore historic properties. And so anyway, we're going to be on it looks like. So this means that I have to really ramp up our cool flower garden because it's the third or the fourth week in April. So we really have to push the envelope. So this is going to be an awesome, awesome cool flower year, y'all. So I'm already thinking, all right, what am I taking out? I'm not seeding anything, Julie. It is too early for me. But despite having your book, I'm still trying to figure it out. So Julie, are you flower farming? I'm reading this, y'all. You know that I did an online course that's a companion to the book called Cool Flowers Beyond the Book for Flower Farming, that really takes you beyond. It adds 3 or 4 new cool flowers, as well as tells you how to apply that concept and really how to figure that out. So that's what I'm doing. And you know what else I'm doing? If you're a member of the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers, I'm watching conferences, and I am specifically watching Jonathan and Megan Leese's. They were in the National last year. We went to their farm and visited their no-till for a half-acre farm to 1 acre. I can't remember if it's a half or one. Anyway, this is what I'm doing this time of the year. It's just like the dead of winter. I'm holed up inside, getting smarter, making my strategy, making my plan for the fall, and then very early spring. And then, of course, in the winter, I'm making my later spring and summer strategy plan. I'm just looking here. So I am y'all think even though I wrote Cool Flowers, I still have to go back and remind myself of stuff. So we get extra cold and can't plant until Memorial Day. I have to figure out Cool Flowers. So Dave and I will be talking about this kind of stuff. So we're doing it. I can't look at the date because it's on this book. It's either the 22nd or the 23rd of July. So it's still in plenty of time for you guys to get your P's in a row. And I'll help you along with that, Julie. So be sure to sign up. The reason we're doing a webinar is we have tech issues with Facebook Live trying to download them and get onto our website. So it's a free webinar. You just have to sign up to be sent the link. And then you'll also get the little workbook that goes along with it. So I'm just going to scroll back here. I see we have a lot of folks on here. Using my suburban yard, let's see, to grow as land agreement fell through last minute. I'm just trying to prepare something for fall. Well, let me tell you something, Julie. That's a gift, because all of the belly aching that typically I am counseling people on this time of the year, whether it's through flower farming school or people here in my region for the ASCFG, is they started big and they're still haven't really got their market. They still really don't know how to keep their gardens weed free. So starting small is a blooming gift. So let's see what this says. I have to figure out Cool Flowers. My subscribers are patiently waiting till August. So Lori, I don't know where you are, but if you live in an area where it's cool to cold and you don't have hot summers like Ireland, like Sarah mentioned to us a minute ago, that's where Cool Flowers not only can be planted much earlier in the season, they go much longer. So instead of you struggling to try to get these warm season plants to perform because it's cool where you are, the cool season stuff is really, really what you have to do. So I'm trying to read here, y'all. I'm 6B, overwhelmed with what Cool Flowers to plant. We get extra cold and can't plant until Memorial Day. So that's Leslie. So Leslie, if you're a flower farmer, I would definitely recommend that online course that's a companion to Cool Flowers, the book, is like $20. It really will help you get a better understanding. I help people to connect the dots even more, as well as introduce some new cool flowers since the book was actually planted. So Julie, here's the bottom line. For things that are winter hardy, there's a cheat sheet in the back of Cool Flowers, page 138, I think, that tells you what winter hardiness zone we know that stuff is winter hardy to. If something is winter hardy in your zone, that means you can fall plant it. If it's not winter hardy in your zone, that means you early spring plant it. What's early spring? Early spring is 6 to 8 weeks before your last fall frost date. But you have to prepare, because a lot of people like me, I typically will have snow on the ground for the early spring planting. So we have to get the spots all ready in fall. Fall planting is 6 to 8 weeks before your first fall frost for those things that are winter hardy. And if you're in zone 5, I can already tell you all the Rudbeckias are pretty much winter hardy for you. Huge cut flower for us. We grow several different ones. Get them started, plant transplants, have them ready to go in the ground 6 to 8 weeks before your first fall frost. And I'd have to look at the list for others. But that's the mark. But here's the other side of the coin. You can get them in the ground way earlier in spring than your other stuff if you prepare the spot in the fall. So y'all, let me just go back a little bit further here. How might someone join the flower farm? So Ashley asks, how might someone join the flower farm in Facebook private page? If you're talking about the general flower farming Facebook page, all you have to do is request it. That's a group of large people, lots of new growers are in there. The Facebook page that I'm talking about is the Facebook page for my flower farming school students from last fall. We continue to support them after they've gone through school. And so if you enrolled in flower farming school this fall, then you would automatically be put into that group where I monitor and answer questions constantly and try to help guide people even long after the class is gone. Let's see, thanks, didn't know she wrote one. I have a couple of books if that's what time of year do you take your vacation as a flower grower? Winter. Hey, Mandy. So, y'all, this is really about surviving the heat. Get out early. Don't plant more than you can take care of. And when I say early, I mean by 6 a.m. is you're late. You're late to work if you're getting out at 6 this time of the year. And when you go out early, you got to quit early. You got to throw in the towel. And you have, especially if you have people working for you or somebody helping you, you have to respect that and really do that. So remember, thegardenersworkshop.com, sign up for our newsletter. If you want to be notified when the registration opens for Flower Farming School this fall for the original course, which is mine, and then also Dave Dowling's advanced course, the link is at the top of this Facebook Live. You just click it, sign up to be notified. There's no obligation. You'll get a special offer with some money off the course, as well as we send you educational stuff that we just don't share anywhere else. So please also, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can link up with me on my on our website page. And I don't think that I have any other questions on here that I haven't. For me, it does. It makes it easy to pull, but I have a small garden. So I just want to say to you guys, everybody gets hot. Do not make big decisions in the summer. I plan for our summer, like this time of the year, I'm mowing stuff like crazy. If a crop is starting to wane a little bit, I take it out. And you can see what's behind me there. Those are our leftovers from our members only market. If you're a flower farmer and you don't have leftovers, you're not growing enough, y'all. You do not want one customer to feel like they're getting just a few flowers to choose from. So I have no problem composting flowers. And so until we meet again, thank you all for joining me here. And remember to sign up for the Gardener's Workshop news at thegardenersworkshop.com. And I hope to be coming to you guys from the road trip that Suzanne and I are getting ready to take tomorrow as we fly to upstate New York. And till we meet again, ciao.